Welcome to the Miracle Mind. I'm happy that you're here and that you decided to join, whether that's in the middle of the night, whether that's in the early morning, whether that's in the late afternoon or in the evening. You're welcome. Great to see you here and happy to continue the Miracle Mind. This incredible program, you could say, given to us on a daily basis almost. Like incredible to see how say everything that you need to hear, you could say, is given you in the right time. And today that would be the idea of you are the miracle. And yesterday it was the miracle to you is death. Today is you are the miracle. Well, you see this, say, continuation of the program, you could say, the curriculum is also completely given by the daily lessons. And the succession of that is very interesting too. If you see that, it's like one day it's like, wow, glorious, fantastic, beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And the next day is like, whoa, this is intense. This is boo. This is ha ha. And you have your idea about it. But what I mean to say is like, it brings you, say, up high, and then it brings you back here to take a look at it, and then you can transcend that again or heal that again, let that be healed again, so that there's an yeah, it just happens that way. It's like there seems to be a rhythm in it that is really taking you and bringing you back here. It's not that we fly away forever or drift off into some kind of astral space. No, it's being brought in here, becoming very physical, and you literally incarnate the ideas, or yeah, so integrate the ideas into your daily being. So this is, you take it everywhere, you take it wherever you go. And the thing that can change here is your, say, immediate response, your tendency to respond. And we looked at that yesterday too. It's like there's a tendency to humanly respond to situations that needs to be, say, undone, just to allow you the freedom that is in every situation. But you, with your human response to situations, you have, say, imprisoned yourself, thinking that you needed to respond to this place as if it has a reality. Now, in the development of your trust in the message that's given, in the new experience that is offered you, here's something really to discover. Because in fact, in every situation, you have a choice. Am I going to limit myself with what I perceive, or am I staying in my, say, total uncertainty, but in my actual certainty of knowing that this is not, like this place is not, just like we said yesterday, or like, what am I observing? What am I perceiving? I'm seeing only the past. Say lesson 7, right? Lesson 7. What am I upset about? Lesson 6. I'm seeing something that's not there. I'm upset because I think there's such thing as a separation from God. Well, that is restored. That is not the case. That is restored. There's no separation from everything that is. So that means in every situation, see, this is like listen, learn, and do. So listen, you hear it. It's like, oh, there's no opposite to love. Oh, this place is gone. Like this place is over. What I'm perceiving is already over. I can be upset about it as much as I want, but it is over. It is not there. So listen, learn. I learn that it's not this anymore. Like, I cannot pretend as if this place is real. So now in my doing, something changes too. I'm not going to respond the way that I was used to as a human being to situations. Like I'm dislodging myself from my, say, habitual response as a human being. I thought I was a human being, but I never was a human being, you could say. I never was a human being. Only in my temporary sleep, I thought I was a human being and, say, experienced the consequences of that. Well, here is your awakening. No, you discover that's not so. This place has no reality, and this three-dimensional world that you perceive has no reality the way that you see it. So there's a world behind all of this, and not a world of form, but a world of recognition and integration, you could say, and communication. There's a world behind this world that you can see, that you can experience, and that you can be, that you are a whole part of. So you're not going to use your perception to deny that any longer. That is what is changing. And you train yourself on a daily basis to do so. This is really like opening your miracle mind in every situation without exception. You don't have to sort out in which situations it will work or not. No, you just don't know anything about any situation because you know for sure that what you are perceiving is not there. It is not the way that you see it. So, and it's not the way that you think about it either. Your ideas about it are as meaningless as the things that you see. Your thoughts about everything is as much over as the things that you see. Now, how would you know how to respond? Now, this is really where we continue. So we do this in discovering, like yesterday, the honesty part of you, developing my trust to an equilibrium, you could say, developing my trust to an accomplishment, moving further along with this as my basis, that I say my trust is developed. I discover I can be completely honest. Honest in the sense of consistent. What I say, what I think, and what I do become one thing. There's no conflict in there. There's no deviation in that. So no judgment related to it either. So today we continue, and I'm going to pull that up in a moment as the manual for teachers, the second characteristic of God's teacher. The third characteristic of the teacher of God. So after honesty, we come into tolerance. So apparently tolerance is an aspect, a characteristic of God's teachers. Tolerance. God's teachers do not judge. To judge is to be dishonest. For to judge is to assume a position that you do not have. Judgment without self-deception is impossible. Judgment implies that you have been deceived in your brothers. How then could you not have been deceived in yourself? Judgment implies a lack of trust, and trust remains the bedrock of the teacher of God's whole thought system. Let this be lost and all his learning goes. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable, for who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all men brothers, for who is there who stands apart? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. So this is very clear and seems like law, it's like God's teachers do not judge. To judge is to be dishonest. Now it looks like law, almost like a limitation, but it is, as I say, most of what is being shared in the Course in Miracles is 180 degrees upside down. So in other words, this is your freedom. You cannot judge. You're set free of your judgments. You don't have to judge. You don't have to be dishonest or assume a position you don't have. You cannot judge, simply as that. So judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. So that doesn't make sense. So no teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. This is great to hear this too. Without judgment are all things equally acceptable. For you could judge, for who could judge otherwise? Without judgment are all men brothers. For who is there who stands apart? No one. Everything is given to keep you in a place of trust, of peace, no conflict, peace. You can't judge. Another thing you don't have to do. You cannot judge. You cannot judge. Like we said yesterday too, it's like the possibility for you here is recognizing where you truly abide, seeing that this world and its reflections and its patterns and responses are only taking you out of your peace of mind. They have no reality, but also they destroy or they make your peace of mind disappear. So you cannot respond to that anymore as you are used to as a human being. Like as a human response is mostly like judgment. Now that doesn't make sense. So we saw yesterday too, and this is what I wanted to say, is like you come into the situation, you have no idea how to respond. You cannot judge the situation because you're not perceiving it right. You're not perceiving. You're not using your senses to tell you this is going on. Like no. There's something else. So the miracle really is then to allow this to happen, to allow this change to happen, that you don't respond the way that you are used to and have every tendency to do so. You're not going to do that. You just stay, say, within your own quiet, you could say, and be patient with yourself. You could say, breathe, relax, breathe. You don't need to do this. Relax. Another thing you don't have to do. So in this relaxation, you actually come to the point where the situation be what it is, instead of you trying to adjust it in the way that you want it. No, you let it be true and whole onto itself. That was one of the expressions we used, like letting it be whole unto itself. The situation is whole, so don't disturb it. You are whole. Don't disturb your peace of mind. Your brother is whole. Don't judge him. You would not see him. You would only make up another image. No, don't. You don't have to do that. Here. Let it be whole, because it is whole. Don't disturb that. You don't have to disturb it. So relax into it. Allow this to be whole, and that's all. Sounds easy. Sounds easy. So that's why we have 365 lessons in a year. That means basically for every day in the year, you practice something. Like, oh yeah, let's not forget. Oh yeah, my thoughts are meaningless. I didn't think about that today yet. My thoughts are meaningless, just like the things that I'm seeing. Oh, I just got caught into some kind of situation in which I thought it needed to look different. I created a conflict for myself and tried to shake it off, but it doesn't work. I'm caught in, when I perceive it, I'm caught in the situation. I'm right into my battleground. And my only way to escape it is to let this perception be. Step back out of it and allow the miracle to occur by your decision that cannot be it. The alternative is given to you. That's how immediate the miracle mind works. Miracle mind being just letting the situation be whole by itself. So it's not a doing. So the miracle, is the miracle important, says somewhere in the manual for teachers too. Is the miracle important? No, miracles as such are not important. Or it's in the miracle principles. No, as such the miracle is not important because it doesn't create anything. It's not a revelation. It doesn't create anything. No, it just puts things in the right perspective. You allow the situation to be whole unto itself. That's all. Not that the situation wasn't whole. No, it was already whole. But you disturbed it with an idea. Like you thought it looked different. And you were mistaken. So that's why this is, we call this like the revolution of self-forgiveness, or however beautiful term you can come up with. Like you have to forgive yourself from the non-occurrence of thinking that something has to look different. Now this is what I mean when I say like you cannot act human anymore, or you cannot relate humanly anymore, because then that would be a disturbance, continuously a disturbance of the whole situation that's presenting itself. Now when your mind becomes whole, like unto itself, when you recognize that that's the case with your mind, that's not a change at all either. So this is another phrase in the Course in Miracles. It's like enlightenment is but a recognition. And what is the recognition? The situation is already whole unto itself, just like I am. I'm whole unto myself. I don't need to make up another image. I don't need to judge myself or others. I don't need to do a lot of things that I'm used to as a human being. No, in the undoing of those ideas, I suddenly collapse into my wholeness, and it is right here. And there's no opposite to it. It is whole unto itself. How simple is that? But how simple is that to express that? How is that to practice it? Well, let's listen to what Master Teacher says today. We're probably looking at, say, the 3rd episode, second part, and we're going to listen to that.
Man is indeed in need of comfort, for he knows not what he does, believing his will is not his own. The kingdom is his, and yet he wanders homeless. At home in God, he is lonely, and amid all his brothers, he is friendless. Would God let this be real when he did not will to be alone himself? Could his son somehow escape from his mind? And if your will is his, it cannot be true of you because it is not true of him. Oh, my child, if you knew what God wills for you, your joy would be complete. And what he wills has happened, for it was always true. When the light comes and you have said, God's will is mine, you will see such beauty that you will know it is not of you. Okay. Out of your joy, you will create beauty in his name, for your joy could no more be contained than his. The bleak little world will vanish into nothingness, and your heart will be so filled with joy that it will leap into heaven and into the presence of God. I have not been able to tell you what this will be like until now because your heart wasn't ready. I changed that a little bit. I have the privilege of telling you that you're ready, okay? I'll tell you how it reads. I cannot tell you what this will be like, for your heart is not ready, all right? Well, I have to tell you that your heart is ready for this. Why? Some of you are springing, and if you get one in a batch that springs, everybody else springs. Can you hear that? You guys are all in total association with each other. You think it's a great big place, but it's really not. It's all contained in one little spot. So if one of you springs, everybody springs. Right? It's a contagion of reassociation of light. So it's happened, all right. Okay. So I can tell you what it will be like because you're experiencing it and your heart is ready. And I will tell you, and I remind you often, that what God has willed for himself, he has to will for you, and what he wills for you is yours. Because he wills for himself is what you are, because you are God creating. Lovely. Now, the way's not hard, but it has been very different for you, and may still be a little different. Okay? Why? Yours has been the way of pain, which God doesn't know anything about. That way is very hard indeed, and it's very lonely. And fear and grief are your guests, and they go with you and abide with you on the way. That's not to say you're not going to get it that way. It didn't say that. It said that you have chosen that way to go by your own definition of yourself. Do you notice that? Everybody has to get this, because any way they have is their way until they change their mind about how they want to do it. Then it'll change. Okay. That way has been hard indeed for you and very lonely, and fear and grief are your guests, and they go with you, and they abide with you on the way. But the dark journey is not the way of God's Son. Walk in light and do not see the dark companions, for they are not fit companions for the Son of God. These are the body constructs that you have made around you. That sickness thing that you've constructed outside yourself in this illusion is not a fit companion for you. You change your mind so that his mind can change with you about your dedication to this. You construct in your mind the companions that you want to be with. And you'll either share sickness and death and the long dark path, or you'll share the direct path and find the truth. Isn't that lovely? Walk in light and do not see the dark companions, for they are not fit companions for the Son of God, who was created of light and in light. The great light always surrounds you and shines out from you. Always surrounds you and now is shining out from you. This is the experience of light that you guys are undergoing. This is the awakening from the shadows of your perceptual association into a very real, intense light. Listen to me. When I talk of light, I'm not just talking of the spectrum of light that indicates brightness and darkness. I'm talking of light as consciousness energy. I'm talking of the whole spectrum association of light, from ultraviolet all the way up through radar and radio associations. They are all part of this demonstration of energy of you. You are a child of light in a whole association of lightness, not in a conceptual thought form that is only the distance between the thought where the form has been made. And that's the difference in the light. The great light always surrounds you and shines out from you. How can you see the dark companions in a light such as this? If you see them, it is only because you are denying the light. You've set them up to keep you from seeing through them, haven't you? You've projected that image of that body out from you, and you hold it in an association with your own mind. What you guys are undergoing in this new awakening is you're beginning to look right through each other. This is the teaching. You don't have a perceptual evaluation of it objectively. What happens to it? It turns to great ray light. Your mind actually reassociates it in the brightness of your own new whole mind, right? Okay. How can you see the dark companions in a light such as this? If you see them, it is only because you're denying the light. But deny them instead, for the light is here and the way is clear. God hides nothing from his Son, even though his Son would hide himself. Yet the Son of God cannot hide his glory, for God wills him to be glorious and gave him the light that shines in him. You'll never lose your way, for God leads you. When you wander, you but undertake a journey that is not real. The dark companions, the dark way, are all illusions, and they are not true. You turn toward the light, for the little spark in you is part of a light so great that it can sweep you out of all darkness forever. For your Father is your Creator, and you are like him. The children of light cannot abide in darkness, for darkness is not in them. Do not be deceived by the dark comforters, and never let them enter the minds of God, for they have no place in his temple. You let the dead bury the dead. Do not be satisfied with your previous associations. The dark comforters are only those in your mind in this place who are telling you everything is going to be okay. Okay, you can share death with me in this if you want to. The guy next to you that you're in pain with, that you're sharing, he's your dark comforter. He has no reality, okay? For your Father is your creator, and you are like him. Do not be deceived by the dark comforters, and never let them enter the mind of God, for they have no place in his temple. When you are tempted to deny him, remember that there are no other gods to place before him, and accept his will for you in peace, for you cannot accept it otherwise. Only God's comforter can comfort you. Listen, in the quiet of his temple, he waits to give you the peace that is yours. Give his peace that you may enter the temple and find it waiting for you. You can't do it if you don't give it. You can't draw from the warehouse until you know you are the warehouse. You can't know you're the warehouse until you give everything away that you have. Through the giving of everything, you discover you have the fullness. Until you do, you'll always be lacking in your own warehouse. Isn't that astonishing? See, it's like an endless circle. The more you take out of it, the more there is. Why? Because you're giving it away. It doesn't stop. It's not held in time by you. It's not utilized by you in your possessions. You don't stop it. You don't use it as potential to protect yourself and project it out from you. Creation is nothing but a continual flow of love. All you really have to do is get in the flow. Can you hear that? You obstruct it in your own mind, and you try to share. You grab it, and you try to share it with these little thought forms of you. And nobody can stop you from doing that. That's called karma. Okay? That's the memories that you have. But the Dharma is all around you. The spirit of energy is in a continual condition of creating forever. And that's going on no matter how much you glitch it for just a moment. And you say to me, well, why did I do this? You may still do that, okay? And I say, what difference does it make if it's over? You say to me, well, how long do I have to keep on doing it? Can I bring all this up? I say, you're going to be whole no matter what you do. It doesn't make any difference. Your admission of that puts you into the flow of creation, which is what everything is, all right? And you are that. Ready? Give his peace that you may enter the temple and find it waiting for you. But be holy in the presence of God, or you will not know that you are there. You can't. Where is God? Here. You can't know you're there until you are holy in your own self, until you decide there is a God and you want that more than this. For what is unlike God cannot enter his mind, because it was not his thought and therefore does not belong to him. And your mind must be as pure as his if you would know what belongs to you. Guard carefully his temple, for he himself dwells there and abides in peace. You cannot enter God's presence with dark companions beside you, but you also cannot enter alone. That's one of the tougher sentences in the course. You can't get there by taking your own thoughts about what your brother is with you. You haven't forgiven them totally, have you? You're demanding recognition for your mind at the place of God. Yet you cannot go alone, because all of your projections, which are the creations of your mind, must go with you in order to be whole. You see what forgiveness offers you, teachers? Salvation. Huh? That's what that says. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? All your brothers must enter with you, for until you've accepted them, you can't enter. For you cannot understand wholeness unless you are whole. And no part of the Son can be excluded if he would know the wholeness of his Father. In your mind, you can accept the whole sonship and bless it with the light your Father gave it. Then you will be worthy to dwell in the temple with him, because it is your will not to be alone. God blessed his Son forever. If you will bless him in time, you will be in eternity. If you will bless him in time, you will be in eternity. Not you'll find eternity, you'll be there. One whole blessing given totally is heaven. All you ever really had to do here was just one time be totally grateful. Just totally dependent. Just one time you had to base your reality on the fact that there's a whole God who created you perfectly. When you listen to these new brothers saying thank you, understand that they understand that their reality is based on their gratitude. Their reality is based on their total dependence on God. Their freedom of mind is based on their dependence on God, not on themselves, which can only bind them to their own associations with themselves. Do you see? You bind yourself by your determination to be guilty in your own associations. Don't do it anymore. Never forget, I'm not going to keep on going. This is lovely. Then comes the dynamics of the ego. Ready? I start to do what's going to be in the next page. Yours is the independence of creation, not of autonomy. Your whole creative function lies in your complete dependence on God, whose function He shares with you. By His willingness to share it, He becomes as dependent on you as you are on Him. And what a lovely sentence. That's what Meister Eckhart said, didn't he? 1299, standing up in a sermon in Germany. He said, God's dependent on you as you are on Him. What's a father without a son? What's a son who tries to make himself? Huh? Nothing. See? It's our total dependence that gives us the freedom. It's our autonomy or separation that condemns us to death. As you caught me reading the course. I'll read a couple more things. He is dependent on you as you are on Him. Do not ascribe the ego's arrogance to Him who wills not to be independent of you. He needs you. He's totally dependent on you. Please forgive God. He asks for your forgiveness. He cries. He's lonely because you're not there with Him. I thought you told me He doesn't know about this. You know about it and you're lonely. You see that? Isn't that something? Can you believe that autonomy is meaningful apart from Him? The belief in ego autonomy is costing you the knowledge of your dependence on God, in which your freedom lies. The ego sees all dependency as threatening and has twisted even your longing for God into a means of establishing itself. But do not be deceived by interpretations of your own conflict. Isn't that nice? This is the way you're going to start reading this now, aren't you? Because you're going to say, yeah, this is the truth.
So we continue now first with the part of the where we were left off yesterday, with going through the book. And it's not that we have to do the whole book, but it's interesting to see it. So I was just checking out in the book A Course in Miracles, Introducing A Course in Miracles by Master Teacher, where this talk is put down as a transcript. And I see that we say looking at the text here together, we are probably a third of where we are now with listening to the tape. And I don't have to do anything with that. But it was just interesting how quickly it goes when we're listening to it. And when you dissect it, when you go stand still with the text, it takes a bit longer, of course. But it's worth it. So it's, of course, listening to the tape is also very effective. You discover, oh, wow, I had no idea. How beautiful is that? Great expression. See, everything is just helping you to open up, to see, oh yeah, I can look at it from this angle. Oh, is that different than from this angle? No, it tells me the same thing, but it helps me to see that from every aspect, or no matter where you're looking at it, that is still the same. That what is one, and that is so beautiful. So today, like I said, we have the title that will come back into the text, You Are the Miracle. And I'm using that just to continue with the miracle principles that we looked at before. But now it's like, that's also different. Now we're in a whole different moment in time, in your, recognition of this. And listening to it now will be different too, you'll see. Okay, so you have an idea of a perfect mind constructed in you. You have an idea of that. You must have an idea of a perfect mind constructed in you. It must be then that any time you can go to that. Like if it is constructed in you, if it is there in you, like you have an idea about a perfect mind, right? Like that's no surprise. It must be then that you can at any time go to that. At any moment you can step out of time. That is the miracle. Just for that moment. And that's the same as what we said in the beginning of this gathering. It's like you see that it is whole unto itself, no matter where you step into, no matter how you look at yourself, you are whole unto yourself, like unto itself, unto truth itself. You are whole. Now you can have different ideas about it, about what should change about you, but that doesn't take away your wholeness. That is still there. Maybe not in your consciousness at that point, because you already had a different idea about yourself. So it is with the situation that you're in. So do you allow the situation that you enter in to be whole unto itself? Or do you think you need to adjust it to how you think it should look? Now this is in fact the healing possibility in every situation. No matter what comes your way, no matter what you're perceiving, you can always come back. Step out of it. Step out of time. Step out of time to experience the miracle. You step out of time. Can you hear what I'm saying? Just for that moment. You think the situation is like this. Now you're going to step out of time. It's like, well, this cannot be it, because none of this is so. We're only looking at the past. It's over. It's gone. It is nothing that I'm perceiving. Like I'm literally perceiving a meaningless world with eyes that think, that see. Now I step out of time, out of my definition of time, out of what I think is going on. I step out of it. There's the miracle. For just that moment. Seeing it in a new perspective, in a whole different perspective. Not, say, allowing it to be whole unto itself. So there's no separation in that. There's no division in that. There's no conflict in that. Is that possible in every situation? Yes, it is. Every situation is whole unto itself. Miracles, this is in, say, Miracle Principle 24. Miracles enable you to heal the sick and raise the dead because you thought they were dead in your mind, because you made sickness and death yourself, and therefore can abolish both. You are a miracle, capable in creating in the likeness of your Creator. You are that because it is God's will that you be that. Do you have anything to say about that? No. Do you need to discuss that? No. It is whole unto itself. It is the will of God, creating in the likeness of your Creator. It cannot not be so. You cannot be anything else, because there is nothing else. Now you say, well, I can be limited, I can be in pain, I'll prove that to you. Okay, go ahead. You cannot not be that, because that's what everything is, whole unto itself, creating in the likeness of your Father, creating in the likeness of your Creator. What do you think? You can do something else? No, that's not possible. Is it possible in my dream? Yes, I have seen that it was possible in my dream, but my dream isn't real. I see that everything is over in my dream. And it was a nightmare. Obviously then, your perceptual judgment of it cannot be true, right? Your perceptual judgment of it, what you see, cannot be true. You are a miracle, capable of creating in the likeness of your Creator. Everything else, oh, here's the nightmare. Everything else is your own nightmare and does not exist. That's the first sentence in the course. Oh my God. Wow. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. These are the first sentences of the course. Everything else is your own nightmare and does not exist. This does not exist. This human perspective does not exist. This human response does not exist. My perceptions, my ideas about what I think is going on does not exist. I can say I can receive the consequences of what I'm perceiving, sure. Is that, well, it is a nightmare of my own making, and it does not exist. The world I see is of my own making and has no reality. Only the creations of light are real. Isn't that lovely? Only the creations of light, harmony, that is associations of truth, are real because even in perception they are reflections of that truth. That's how you become the living Son of God. You wonder how there can be multiple living sons of God, because perception does vary, but wholeness does not. Therefore, whole perception will be whole unto itself. You won't judge a brother, although he can bring to you all the dramatic demonstrations of his wholeness. What difference does that make if he is whole? He can be as dramatic as he wants to be. It doesn't take away his wholeness. I love my brother who is one with me, no matter what his dramatic demonstrations are, or no matter what I think I perceive. You call that talent and think you can only utilize part of it. I tell you it's potential fulfilled, and that you will create perfectly in your mind, and I will define that as whole, because wholeness does not require a definition. It is only a statement of your own mind as to what you are, isn't it? Who is there to judge that? No one. I want to give you the freedom of your miracle mind, so that you will stop trying to define it in a limited fashion. Everything you do is a miracle because you are miracle mind, if you will allow it to be, and won't judge it through your own perceptual limitation. So this is a great expression. I want to give to you the freedom of your own miracle mind, so that you will stop trying to define it in a limited fashion. Everything you do is a miracle because you are a miracle mind, if you will allow it to be, and won't judge it through your own perceptual limitation. So this is what we have been expressing to one another. It's like, here it is letting it be whole unto itself, letting yourself be whole unto itself, letting your brother be whole unto itself, no matter what the dramatic expression of it looks like, no matter how big of an emergency it seems to be. Don't let yourself be fooled. It's like, no, you can stay in your miracle mind, because what is going on? I am creating in the likeness of my Father. Does that have anything to do with my perception? No, not if I perceive in the limitations of my perceptual associations. Like if I trust what I see with my eyes and take that as my reality, I'm caught in that. But that doesn't tell me anything about reality. This is not what it appears to be. And that's the training. It's like, this is the freedom that is given in every situation. So that becomes so clear now. It's so simple. In fact, it's like, it's so simple the way this is given to you. There's no two ways about it. It is singular in itself. So this is your alignment to the miracle mind, you could say. This is your alignment to truth. stand right here and let things be whole unto itself. Don't intervene with that. Don't judge it, because you can't. If it's whole unto itself, why would it have to be judged? There's no reason for it. So all these things start to make perfect sense when you accept it, when you hear it, when you accept it, and when you do it. Make a practice of it. So that's so beautiful about this. So I really enjoy doing this in the sense of remembering it with you, like so easily and so easy and so clear that was being given to us. So it's like everything is the same story in that. It becomes so incredibly deep and singular, you could say, so deep and so acceptable and recognizable that may be the most. You're like recognizable because you recognize the truth that is speaking in this. It's like, yeah, that makes total sense. It makes total sense. Now we enter into the practice of this. And on a day-by-day basis, we enter into the practice of this. No, there are no exceptions. No, this is not an exception either. No, no matter what the dramatic expression is that comes your way, this is not an exception. I love you.